Section 1 of Night Watches. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Night Watches by W. W. Jacobs. Section 1. Back to Back. Mrs. Scutts, concealed behind the curtain, gazed at the cab in uneasy amazement. The cabman clambered down from the box, and, opening the door, stood by with his hands extended ready for any help that might be needed. A stranger was the first to alight, and, with his back towards Mrs. Scutts, seemed to be struggling with something in the cab. He placed a dangling hand about his neck, and, staggering under the weight, reeled backwards, supporting Mr. Scutts, whose other arm was round the neck of a third man. In a flash Mrs. Scutts was at the door. Mr. Scutts raised his head sharply, and his lips parted. Then his head sank again, and he became a dead weight in the grasp of his assistants. "He's all right," said one of them, turning to Mrs. Scutts. A deep groan from Mr. Scutts confirmed the statement. "What is it?" inquired his wife anxiously. "Just a little bit of a railway accident," said one of the strangers. "Train ran into some empty trucks. Nobody hurt seriously," he added, in response to a terrible and annoyed groan from Mr. Scutts. With his feet dragging helplessly, Mr. Scutts was conveyed over his own doorstep and placed on the sofa. "All the others went off home on their own legs," said one of the strangers reproachfully. "He said he couldn't walk, and he wouldn't go to a hospital." "I ain't going to be cut about at no 'ospitals." The two strangers stood by watching him. Then they looked at each other. "I don't want no 'ospitals," gasped Mr. Scutts. "I'm going to have my own doctor." "Of course the company will pay the doctor's bill," said one of the strangers to Mrs. Scutts, "or they'll send their own doctor. I expect he'll be all right to-morrow." "I 'ope so," said Mr. Scutts, "but I don't think it. Thank you for bringing me 'ome." He closed his eyes languidly, and kept them closed until the men had departed. "Can't you walk, Bill?" inquired the tearful Mrs. Scutts. Her husband shook his head. "You go and fetch the doctor," he said slowly. "That new one round the corner." "He looks such a boy," objected Mrs. Scutts. "You go and fetch him," said Mr. Scutts, raising his voice. "D'ye hear?" "But," began his wife. "If I get up to you, my gal," said the forgetful Mr. Scutts, "you'll know it." "Why, I thought—" said his wife in surprise. Mr. Scutts raised himself on the sofa and shook his fist at her. Then, as a tribute to appearances, he sank back and groaned again. Mrs. Scutts, looking somewhat relieved, took her bonnet from a nail and departed. The examination was long and tedious, but Mr. Scutts, beyond remarking that he felt chilly, made no complaint. He endeavored, but in vain, to perform the tests suggested, and even did his best to stand, supported by his medical attendant. Self-preservation is the law of nature, and when Mr. Scutts' legs and back gave way, he saw to it that the doctor was underneath. "We'll have to get you up to bed," said the latter, rising slowly, and dusting himself. Mr. Scutts, who was lying full length on the floor, acquiesced, and sent his wife for some neighbors. One of them was a professional furniture remover, and half-way up the narrow stairs the unfortunate had to remind him that he was dealing with a British working-man, and not a piano. 4 pairs of hands deposited Mr. Scutts with mathematical precision in the centre of the bed, and then proceeded to tuck him in, while Mrs. Scutts drew the sheet in a straight line under his chin. "Don't look much the matter with them," said one of the assistants. "You can't tell with a face like that," said the furniture remover. "It's what you might call a 'appy face. Why, he was 'arf smiling as we carried him up the stairs." "You're a liar," said Mr. Scutts, opening his eyes. "All right, mate," said the furniture remover. "All right. There's no call to get annoyed about it. Good old English pluck, I call it. Where do you feel the pain?" "All over," said Mr. Scutts briefly. His neighbors regarded him with sympathetic eyes, and then, led by the furniture remover, filed out of the room on tiptoe. The doctor, with a few parting instructions, also took his departure. "If you're not better by the morning," he said, pausing at the door, "you must send for your club doctor." Mr. Scutts, in a feeble voice, thanked him, and lay with a twisted smile on his face, listening to his wife's vivid narrative to the little crowd which had collected at the front door. She came back, followed by the next-door neighbor, Mr.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?